Namaskar. Welcome to yet another episode of Kahani Kashmir ki on Bharat Media. To chusarni myon yani Veronika Zutshi hun hat namaskar. Today, I have a very, very special show for you because I have the honor of presenting to you someone who I consider not only the present, but also the future of the Kashmiri Pandit community. This future person is accomplished, she is articulate, and she is boldly creative. And most of all, I am a personal fan of hers. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show Veronika Zutshi Sharma. Veronika, namaskar and welcome to Kahani Kashmir.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor for me to be on your show and talking about myself, talking about my art. So thank you so much for having me.
Of course, the honor is completely ours, I assure you. I know we are going to have a great conversation today, so let's get started. I want to ask you, right off the bat, I want to ask you, tell us something our viewers would like to know a little bit more about you, your background and your upbringing. Where did you grow up? What was happening? Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I currently am working in a market research organization as a director of the client services. My office is in Gurgaon, but if I go back to my childhood days, so I am a Kashmiri Pandit, as you know from my surname, married to a Delhiite. My husband is a Sharma. He's also a Pandit. So if I go back to my childhood, I've spent very few years of my childhood in Kashmir, and then obviously, the exodus happened, and we all had to leave our homes and build it up somewhere else. So we went to Jammu. So most of my education happened in Jammu. But then my father was into a state job, so he used to get transferred every 2-3 years, every 3-4 years. So we have traveled to quite a few places in Jammu and Kashmir. Like we have stayed in Kargil, Ladakh. Then we have stayed in Udhampur also. And then I came to Delhi. I did my graduation here, and then finally I got a job. And then ever since then I've been in Delhi. So now Delhi is my home.
So let me ask you, you mentioned that you were very, very young when the exodus happened, of course. Yeah. Do you have any memories of that?
Very, very, I would say very dull memories because I was very small. I was in class 1 around that time, but I remember there was a time when probably it was my aunt, maternal aunt, uncle. We were traveling somewhere and we were going there in a bus, and all of a sudden something happened and there were cries all around. I don't remember what exactly had happened, but the bus stopped. We had to get down, run, and then get to a safe place. And I also remember my grandmother telling me about how we left the valley. My father had built up a very beautiful home over there, a house over there, which probably I can tell you a little more about it as we move ahead. So he had built up very beautiful house, and when he had to leave it, my grandmother once told me when I was grown up, probably doing my I don't remember exactly which standard I was in, probably 10th, 12th. She told me that when they were leaving the valley, leaving the home, they had tears in their eyes because they did not know when they're going to return. So right. I mean that's something that all of us can relate to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the younger people like you who don't have too many memories, but there are stories that are told in the house that you hear. Absolutely. And by osmosis you kind of imbibe the pain and the hurt and the the awful experiences that families had.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I remember when I was small and when all of this happened,
Uh-huh.
uh, to keep me at a safe place, my father, he moved me to Jammu, where one of my another maternal aunts was living. So he left me there, and he went back because he was into a state job and he couldn't leave his job like that and come out. So he
Right.
went back to his. He was the vice principal at that time of the Jawahar Nagar. The higher secondary school that was there at Jawahar Nagar. So he had to go back. So there was one complete year when I was not with him. He used to come, in between, maybe after a couple of months, he used to come and see me. But then there was a one whole year when he was not with me, and he had kept me
Uh-huh.
with my maternal aunt so that I could be safe because he never knew that what's going to happen. And
True.
in Kashmir, so it was so uncertain over there. So I
Right.
mean, we have our own memories, even though probably we might not have, gone through the kind of pain our parents have gone through. But
Uh-huh.
then obviously we have our stories as well.
Uh-huh, exactly. And sometimes I feel that, when I talk to a lot of Kashmiri Pandits about, what happened, everything around them. And, there is obviously a gamut of experiences. And like you said, the people who were older at that time obviously, faced the worst. But
Yeah.
also a lot of times when I hear about people who were young at the time, they have memories that have left scars, especially it gets worse because they didn't understand what was happening. At least the old people knew what terrible situation they were in, but the young people just didn't know what was happening around them, and they were just following what the old people were telling them to do,
Yeah.
but definitely
Yeah.
felt unsafe being in that environment. So there are definitely scars from that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something
Yeah.
that will stay on for a lifetime for them
True.
as well and for us too.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel for generations to come, I think a lot of our children will hear our stories too. I know my kids have heard those stories, so history it shouldn't repeat itself, and for that reason, I think we should teach our kids our history so that things are corrected and
Absolutely.
rectified.
In fact, I would like to mention that, because I was young at that time when we left, and
Mhm.
of course we did not have a lot of, we did not used to discuss a lot of those events that happened at around that time and in our house. So
Correct.
obviously I was also not very much aware of what exactly had happened and how they came out of that situation, how we moved to a different place and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But when I got married, and since I married out of the Kashmiris, I mean, my husband is a Sharma. So in the initial days when he was meeting my family, my chachas, my uncles and aunts and everyone, so we used to discuss, we used to tell him a little bit about our background. This is how our houses were there, they were so huge, and now we are confined to small flats, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. They used to talk like that. So,
Right.
it was that time when they actually explained to us that
Mhm.
how they left their homes, how painful it was for them, moving out with their kids, with that uncertainty in heart, whether they would be ever able to go back to their homes or not,
Mhm.
and traveling at midnight and
Mhm.
having the same neighbors that they have lived with all their life.
Right.
They were not anymore trustworthy, they couldn't trust anyone. So
True.
all the arrangements were to be made by themselves, and there were least number of people that they could actually inform that they were just leaving and going out or moving out of that place. So I mean, those details came out when I actually got married, and
Yeah.
there were stories. And then I started googling around about the what all had happened in
Mhm.
Kashmir around that time. And when I read those stories, they were dreadful. They were dreadful. I mean,
Yeah.
I had goosebumps, and I could not just take the kind of pain and the kind of agony that our community members had to go through. I just could not read through those stories. So
Right.
and when that movie, The Kashmir Files,
Mhm.
came out,
Right.
We all three of us, my father, my husband, and I, we went to see it. My husband was very keen that he wanted to know what all had happened and he wanted to see the movie. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to show it to my son as well, but he was, I think he was 10 or 11 at that time. So I thought probably this is not the right time for him to watch that kind of a movie. But I definitely am going to show it to him when the
Mm-hmm.
time when I feel that he's grown up to grown up enough to understand what had happened. So
Right.
that's on my agenda, that I am going to show him that movie, because he should also know from where we have come, where we belong, what Kashmiri Pandits are all about. And
True.
despite of having faced such atrocities and
Mm-hmm.
having to give up everything that they had earned in their life, starting their lives from zero again, and still be
Right.
able to probably reach up to a level where they don't have to beg in front of anyone. I mean, every Kashmiri Pandit that I know are doing pretty
Mm-hmm.
well in their lives, only because we have always focused on our education. So that's what I tell
Absolutely.
him as well, that
Mhm.
education is very important, and for us being a
Mhm.
Kashmiri, it's even more important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is something, I constantly hear from everybody that I talk to, even on this show. Everybody talks about the fact that, everything was stolen from us, everything was snatched away from us. But what we had was our education and our culture that we have carried across wherever we've been scattered. And that has helped us rebuild our lives. So that's a constant
Absolutely.
theme that I hear.
Yes, absolutely, and I can resonate with that.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of starting your lives over, you mentioned a little bit before that you wanted to talk a little bit about the house that your father had
Yeah.
built that you left behind.
Yeah,
Tell us
well,
a little bit.
it was a really very beautiful house
Uh-huh,
that uh, I would say that I have very fond memories of the house, very
uh-huh,
vivid memories.
mhm,
And I would explain it to you how the house looked. It was a two-story house,
uh-huh,
and the main gate, we had two gates. There was a small gate and there was a big main gate. The main
uh-huh,
gate on on both the sides of the gate, there were two life-size elephants that my father himself had, designed and then sculpted with the help of a laborer. He used to go, he was working as a lecturer at that time, and then he got promoted to being a vice principal. But then he had a laborer with himself, to whom he used to, every day in the morning he used to come, and my father used to tell him that this is the task for you for today, until I come back from my school, you have to do all of this. So he used to give him instructions about what all he had to do during the day. So he used to be ready with all the stuff, and then once my father came back from his school, his office, he used to start working on those elephants, sculpting them, and then finally, when they were, built up. So there were two elephants on each side of the gate, and their trunks were, joined like this. So
uh-huh,
underneath the trunks, there was the gate,
uh-huh,
and then we had a pond at the side of. There was a lawn in front of the main gate, and on the side there was a pathway that led to the entry to the house, and then there was a pond, small pond, which had a small bridge on it, and when you crossed the bridge there was a swan. Now the swan had, in the swan's wings,
uh-huh,
my father had made steps, so that you could climb up the steps that went into the hallway. And the
nice.
pond had lights, and
Mhm,
lights were actually not just lamps, put up, but he crafted lotuses with cement and different stuff. I don't know what exactly he used, but
uh-huh,
cement and all. He crafted lotuses, and he created that groove inside the lotus, and the lamps were inside the lotus. So
oh,
those lotuses, and when in the evening or maybe at the night, when we used to turn on the lights, we could see those reflections of those lights in the water. It used to really look very beautiful. And then
right.
on the terrace of the second story, we had a terrace garden.
Uh-huh,
Normally in Kashmir, we have seen, you would have slopey, this so that the snow could
right.
be
The roofs, yeah, the
taken
roofs
off
would
in
be like
winters.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slopey. Right. So he had created the slope, but then we did
Uh-huh.
not have a tin shed over it. We had a proper terrace garden over there with a slope,
Nice.
although.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that
Ah,
and whoever used to come to the locality, our neighbors, if there was somebody coming or visiting some of the relatives of our neighbor used to come to their place, they definitely used to come to our house to see how it has been built. So it was kind of a very different. This it was I'm not just recalling the right word to use here, but it was very different, and everyone used to love and love to come to our place to see how it has been built up.
right, right. That sounds so unique. It sounds very different from, my grandparents' homes, which are
Yeah,
more traditional Kashmiri homes with the Kahani
yes,
and the dabba and all of those. So this does sound very creative.
yes.
Such a beautiful memory. Thanks
It,
for sharing that with us. I'm really appreciative that you chose to share that with us. It sounds
Yeah,
beautiful.
because I think that was the biggest investment of my father,
Right.
and no, and the thing is that he had to leave it, and after that also we built up a couple of homes. We had a home at Jammu, then we have it here as well in New Delhi. But then I think that home was special because he built it with all his heart and creativity. He put everything into that house, and unfortunately we had to leave that house. So
Yeah,
I mean that
absolutely.
will always remain special.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you can take us out of the valley, but you can't take the valley out of us. So
Yeah,
definitely. Veronica, so obviously,
yeah,
thank you for sharing a lot of these beautiful memories. And I'm seeing kind of the flow of how it brought you into the creative realm.
exactly.
I'm seeing some patterns there. But I want to tell all our viewers the reason we are talking to you about Kashmir, about other things that are going to come is really not because you told us our background, you're in the corporate world, but really I wanted to show the creative side of you to our
Okay.
audience, and that is why I
Sure.
invited you to the show so that you could share your creative
Absolutely.
side with us as well. So tell us a little bit. You are an artist, and
Hmm.
you have exhibitions. I have been to your exhibitions. I follow you
Yeah.
online. I am so proud of the work that you do, based on your Kashmiri heritage as well as non-Kashmiri topics that you pick up for your art. So tell me a little bit about, let's segue into how all the upbringing that you just talked to us about, how did that how is that upbringing responsible in shaping your development as an artist, as a creative person? Tell our audiences a little bit about how that transformation happened from your Kashmiri roots, then coming into Jammu, then going to college in Delhi, being in the corporate world, but now you are blossoming as this creative
Yeah.
person, as an artist. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
Sure. So, as you just said, that I just shared the story of how my father sculpted the house, the things around there. So it actually started from my grandfather's. My grandfather used to paint. Then my father also was into painting and sculpting. He also loved music, so he had that creative bent of mind. So
Uh-huh.
when I was growing up, my father used to teach me as well. But back then, we used to use the normal papers, the normal watercolors or poster colors, the normal chart papers. But he
Right.
used to, groom me into that side as well. So along with the studies, he also used to teach me other stuff, which was like being active, like playing games, doing art, and all of that. And gradually, I picked up. I was, like I said, that I was at that time staying with my aunt in Jammu. So he used to come. So my cousin sister was also there. So he used to teach both of us. So
Mm.
my cousin sister was a little, hesitant because I was very patient. I used to sit there and I would paint and until I was done with it, and I would paint with all my heart. And obviously, when you're doing it with all your heart and soul, it turns out good. And when
Uh-huh.
my sister used to see that, oh, her painting is, better than mine, she used to just get
Uh-huh.
up and go. And I
Uh-huh.
used to stay there until I was done with that painting. So my dad saw that trait in me, and he started grooming me and, encouraging me with whatever I was doing, whether I
Mhm.
wanted, probably some of the more kind of expensive colors. He never said no. He used to buy me whatever I wanted. And
Uh,
he used to encourage me. He never said, why are you not studying, why are you doing painting and all that, because I used to paint a lot when I was in school. So he
wow.
never
Mhm.
discouraged me, or maybe pushed me towards more towards the studies and less towards the art. He just left me free, so that I could just paint. If painting was something I was enjoying more, he never said, you need to learn, you need to read, you need to study. So I
Yeah,
think
study
that
for your
was,
test, study for your
yeah,
exams.
that has actually helped me a lot, because he gave me that freedom.
Mhm.
So when I was in school, I used to, if we had any free period or something like that, I used to finish off my whatever homework I could do in the school itself, so that I could go back home and I had more time to paint. So at that time it was like I was painting one painting. Once it was done, I would just start the second one, I would just start the third one once the second one was done, so it would just go on. So I have
Wow.
painted a lot in my school days.
Wow.
And
So
gradually,
is this about high
yeah. And
school time? Is this
yeah,
about
I was
high
in class 9, class 10.
school?
It's around that time I'm talking about. But I mean, the grooming started when I was in class third, 4, and then
Wow.
it went on throughout the years. But right now I'm
Mhm.
talking about, when I was in class 10, 9, 10. Then
Mhm.
around that time period, I have painted a lot. And
Uh-huh.
then obviously with time, your interests shift. Sometimes when you're in class 11, 12, obviously the focus shifts a bit more towards the studies. You have to do the board, you have to give the board exams and all. So that
Right.
happened with me as well. And then,
Mhm.
college, and after that I got married. So
Mhm.
there was a time period when I was not painting too much, but
Mhm.
it's not that it went away from my life. I was doing, but very little, maybe, doing a couple of paintings a year. That time,
Mhm.
when I
Mhm.
got married, and it was a new phase of life, so I was not painting a lot at that time.
Mhm.
But then when my son was born and we put him into the play school, he went to the school. He used to come with his notebooks, and he used to draw very small things on his notebook. And when I noticed, I could see the crisp lines he was drawing, the way neat, I mean, the drawings were very neat. So I could just make out that probably he also has those genes in him. So I started, teaching him. And while I was doing that, it just hit me that I also need to get back to my art.
Mm.
And I started from a scratch then, because by that time I had no brushes, no colors, nothing at all.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I started from a scratch at that time. But my husband was very supportive. He never said no for anything I wanted. So he has been supportive throughout. So I'm so lucky that I have got such a supportive father and such a supportive husband. And it's all because of their support that I have reached a level in my art journey.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Uh-huh.
how it started again. I mean, my
Right.
son is the reason.
Yeah, what a beautiful way to feel inspired again and pick up the brush again.
Absolutely.
Were you apprehensive at any point when you were starting this journey a second time? Feeling, oh my God, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can only teach my son, but how a lot of creative people are a little afraid to show their art to the outside world. Were you apprehensive or nervous? Tell us about how you were feeling at
I I had no idea at that time when I was picking up my brush again that I would probably, sometime become a professional artist like this, who would be exhibiting the art, or maybe even able to sell my art. I
Uh-huh.
had no idea, and I did not start with something in my mind that I
Mm,
want to do this, I want to reach a level, or no. I did it just for myself. Even
mm,
today, when I paint it for myself. I paint what I like to paint. There are times when I exhibit my work. I am appreciated. I get a lot of appreciations, but there are times when somebody walks up to me, tells me that no, this style is no more liked. You should do more of abstract or something like that. I'm like, I want to do what I like to do. So I'll only do what I like to do. So
Right.
that's my golden rule for art. Do whatever you want to do. Don't paint for others. Paint for yourself.
Right. And when you mentioned before that when it comes from the heart, then
Yeah,
it really shines and you can see it, which I can see it in your art is that it shines. And so there's definitely something to be said for doing it for yourself and doing it from the heart.
absolutely. I feel that art is something that you should, it's a way of expressing yourself. So you should
Hmm.
not be bothered about whether it will be liked by someone else or not. It's a journey. When you're painting something, it's not just you're picking up the colors and putting the colors on a canvas. It's absolutely a journey. Every time I paint, there are so many things that I learn from every painting I do.
Oh,
And
wow.
I always try to experiment.
Hmm.
I would use different materials, probably a different style or something, because I want to evolve as an artist. For me, it's not important that I should be able to sell my paintings.
Hmm.
With the grace of God, I think we are well, financially, we are doing good, and I can support my hobby of art. So it's not a point that I want to make money from my art, but I'm doing it for myself because I like to do it. I love to do it. It's like an escape for me. When you're
Uh-huh.
working in a corporate, you're working in a corporate, the kind of pressure sometimes, the kind of pressure you are in. So whenever I want solace for myself, for my soul, art
Uh-huh.
is my, place to go.
That's your go-to. That's fantastic. You actually answered my next question. That is exactly what I wanted to ask you was how do you find that balance between motherhood and being a corporate worker and your art? And I know that you mentioned art as a hobby. I think it is more than just a hobby because I've seen you so busy at exhibitions. I've seen you create custom art pieces. So it's not just a sidebar hobby. You're doing it as a second profession, I feel. How do you find that balance?
I think for me, the rule for life is balance. I feel
Mhm.
that to excel in any field, the balance is very important. It could be anything, it could be the relationship, it could be
Mhm.
your life, it could be your office, your bonding with your son, your
Mhm.
friends, everything in life needs balance. And
Mhm.
how to strike that balance is up to you. What is that balancing point? It's also up to you to figure out how it's going to work out for you the best. So
Mhm.
balancing is very important. So I have, I am very focused for the 5 days on my work, my
Mhm.
office. 5 days
Right.
are for my office. There are certain times when I, before I start my office,
Mhm.
um, if I get some time, I would, probably work on a canvas, sketch it out, and then leave it, because I know
Uh-huh.
that I would not be able to paint it, because half of the day, or maybe 8 9 hours, I have to dedicate to my office as well, and then
Right.
some of the hours to my son's study, taking care of him, cooking, and
Right.
other household chores that you're supposed to take care of. So
Right.
I have divided my day and my time, my
Uh-huh.
weekends and my weekdays, so
Uh-huh.
that I could find time for everyone.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So I
that's
would say that, I'm not a movie person. I don't like partying. So whatever time I'm able to, when my friends are partying, they're going out for a movie, I tend to
mm,
spend it either with my art or maybe with my family, so that whatever time I have missed when I was working for my office, I could devote that
uh-huh.
time over the weekends for my art, or to my family. So that's how I try to balance it out.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, balance was a very key word that I heard from you, but in extracting information from you, I'm also learning that, a very important life lesson, which is discipline, have a lot of discipline and, make sure that you are prioritizing all the most important things in your life rather than, wasting your time away and following your passions. And I'm getting a
Absolutely.
very important life lesson from that. So thanks
Absolutely.
for
I mean,
sharing.
that's what I have followed throughout my life. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I have my priorities set right, and I know when to work on what aspect. So I try to find out time for that particular thing. There are times when office is very busy. So at that time I take a break from my art because I know I will not be able to concentrate. And
Right.
probably my office needs more of my time. So I would take a break maybe for a month or maybe for 15-20 days. But when the work gets settles down and when it gets back to a bit when it gets a little lean, then I get back to my art and all. So that's how I try to create a balance.
Right, that's beautiful. We've been talking a lot about your art, but I want to share a little bit of your art with our viewers as well.
Sure,
So before I
sure.
ask you, I have a zillion questions for you. So before I
No, no
ask you
problem.
any more questions, please share a little bit of your art with us. If you have any Kashmiri-based
Uh-huh.
paintings, please share that with us and tell us a
Sure,
little bit
sure. And
about
one painting you can see here in the backdrop, it's a
yeah.
samovar with
Uh-huh.
the Kashmiri bread,
Uh-huh.
telur,
Uh-huh.
and there are two cups which we call khos. So this is one
Course.
of my favorite paintings that I have made on Kashmir because
Yeah.
I think any Kashmiri who looks at this samovar painting would have that inciting, the nostalgic feeling in them because
Exactly.
every one of us, I'm sure, would have,
Uh-huh.
I mean, when I look at it, I can smell the kava brewing inside it, and it brings back a lot of nostalgic memories to me, and
Right.
I'm sure it does to a lot of other Kashmiris who have seen this painting. So this is
Yeah.
one of my favorite artworks,
Yeah.
and there is a hidden this meaning into this. If you see the cups here, they're not upright. One of them is just falling off. So
Uh-huh.
this cup, I did it purposely like that because I wanted to show that how our displacement from valley has taken a toll on our heritage, also on our culture also. If I see as we talked earlier also, if we see at our parents, they are more I would say they're more culturally attached to
Yeah.
the entire I mean to each other as well. And if I talk about our generation, probably we are not following all the things that they used to follow. And if we talk about one generation later, then probably they will not even know what a samovar is, what hose
True.
used to look like. So
True.
I think we are slowly drifting away from a little bit away from our culture. So that's why I try to sometimes paint a lot of things that are based on Kashmir, so that I can have those memories
Yeah.
safe, and probably they also revive inside you when you're painting. So I keep coming back to this theme
Right.
once in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're not.
So
I feel like you're not even doing it just for yourself. You're saving these beautiful memories for posterity, for the rest of the Kashmiri
yes,
community as well.
absolutely.
So
Because
thank you.
because see, if I talk about my son, he has never seen a samovar. He doesn't know what a samovar is,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Although we have a smaller version at our home, but then he doesn't know how we used to brew tea inside it. Where was the coal put in? How it
Yeah,
used to operate? Yeah, he
right. That's
doesn't
more
know. Probably one
decorative.
generation later, they would
Uh-huh.
not even know what a samovar is. So
True.
that's, I mean, these are certain things that obviously represent our rich culture. So I try to paint something based on Kashmir in uh, in a while. Every once I'm done with some other topics, painting on some other topics, I get back to Kashmir also. So
Uh-huh.
as I said, I would like to show you some more of my
Yes,
paintings
please.
that are based on Kashmir. Here you can see
Uh-huh.
uh, this, this is
Beautiful.
the uh, saffron flower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful,
So
beautiful.
this I have titled as Kongposh itself. So
Uh-huh.
yeah. So if you see, I have kept the background is a bit subdued. I have focused more on the details in the flowers so that they look more vibrant.
Right.
So if you want, I can show it a bit. in the close-up.
Yeah. Oh, it's spectacular. I love it. It is beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. Then I also have some, dull, vague memories of the birds that I used to see around in Kashmir. So here is a little watercolor painting of a bulbul. I
Ah,
remember seeing them in Kashmir. So
uh-huh.
I did this one.
Oh,
Then there's another one I can show you.
mhm.
A hoopoe.
Ah,
Yeah. I was
nice.
showing, I was telling my husband that we used to call it hudhud.
Oh,
And this is another flower, lotuses.
wow, beautiful. Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you. And
Wow.
there are some more bird series that I'm currently working on, but not from Kashmir. But although I have two of them, the hoopoe and the bulbul, then I'm
Uh-huh.
also working on more birds because I actually enjoyed doing these. So I thought, why not paint some more? So I
Uh-huh.
did some more recently. So if you want, I can
Uh-huh.
show you.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
I've been
one.
following. Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful.
It's
So
it's
nice.
a
I love the
myna.
color. Yeah, I love the color.
This is a kingfisher.
Ah, nice. Oh, beautiful.
Then this one I did recently. It's a pigeon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah, beautiful.
And the one that you liked, the hornbills.
That's right. I love hornbills. So beautiful.
Yeah, so this is the most recent one that I'm working on.
Uh-huh. Uh,
Yeah, the
Beautiful.
bird series.
Veronica, tell me a little bit about, in general, you told me that, your upbringing in Kashmir, that inspires you. Your son inspired you in a way to restart your journey as an artist. Tell us a little bit about how do you get your topical inspirations? Like, I want to dive into the creative mind over here for a second. And you said you like birds. Right now, you're working on a series of birds. How do you get your inspiration? How do you get your ideas? Share that with us a little bit, please.
Sure. So the one thing that I believe from the bottom of my heart is that this world is such a beautiful place, and there are so many beautiful things that we actually don't probably we ignore because we are just so busy in our lives, especially if you're working or sorry living in a big city, a metro city like New Delhi. The life is very fast paced. There are very few moments that you can take out of your life and sit back and relax and think about something. So I think I'm blessed that God has given me this gift of art, which actually helps me to look into more details of what normally people would not, get into. So
Right.
if I'm looking at something, I try to look deeply into it. For
Uh,
example, even if when you're looking at a bird, probably a manna. So when you look at it superficially, you would just see just two colors. It's brown and black, and probably the beak is yellow. But when
right.
I am looking at a manna, I see how the manna is walking, how her talons are looking, what different shades of browns are there, what different shades of blacks are there. And when I actually paint them, I enjoy it so much. It makes me feel and realize that how beautiful nature is and how ignorant we are to just superficially look at it and just not be grateful about having the opportunity of living this life and getting into the world and witnessing such beautiful nature. So I
That is
really
so.
think that world is full of beautiful things. You all you need is to have that eye for detail, and you would get a lot of inspiration from everywhere.
That
There are
is
so
so
many
true.
things around you.
Veronica, I have to say, you have just opened my eyes up. So I usually get menas and pigeons both on my balcony pretty much every day. And I see them more as a menace. And I'm like, shoot, shoot to the birds. Next time, I promise you, I will let them be on my balcony. I will watch them and I will think of you and your beautiful paintings.
That's nice. I mean, that's kind of you to say that. But
No,
I
thank
love nature, so I always am enticed to see. I'm always excited to see how beautiful nature is, and I always want to create and transport that beauty to my canvases.
Uh-huh. Yes, yeah, and you do that so beautifully. So thank you. Um, I do want to ask you, Veronica, about the fact that, you told me something which totally blew my mind right at the beginning of our conversation, which was the fact that your father always encouraged your artistic side. Which is, I do have to say, very unusual in our
Yeah.
parents' generation because most of them were brought up thinking, engineering, medical, maybe a few things, government job here and there. So it was a very traditional kind of a path that most of them had taken and had been encouraging us. Not to say that there weren't creative Kashmiris, there are thousands of creative Kashmiris, but usually they were a different ilk. The norm was more traditional paths. So tell me a little bit about what you would say to the younger generation of Kashmiris that are growing up around the valley, Jammu, anywhere, plus anybody else who is in the Kashmiri diaspora. What would you say to somebody who wants to follow their heart and follow a non-traditional career and profession? What would be your advice to them?
I think it's very important to have that freedom in life and to be able to decide what you want to do. And if
Mhm.
you're doing something that you really love doing, then you're blessed. For example, I would say that there are times all of us are not blessed to be in a profession that we actually wanted to be. But
Mhm.
for example, if I was good in art, although we tried, my father was very open to it. We tried getting, getting an admission in an art college, but it just did not happen at that time. So obviously, I had to take a alternative route. So I
Right.
would say that as parents we should be open to listening to what our kids want to do, because it's very
Mhm.
important to be in a profession that you're actually passionate about. And
Mm,
what
true.
I have seen from my experience is that if you love doing what you're doing, it's then
Mhm.
when you would be able to get above the average. If you're actually passionate about doing something, you will not stick to that moderate level, or that you can only excel in something when you're actually passionate about that. So it's
Mhm.
very important to push your kids into a line which they feel are passionate about, which they feel that they want to do, whether it could. And in today's world the avenues are endless. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not like it used to be at our time that you just need to do medical, you just need to do be an engineer or something like that. And in today's time there are endless avenues, and it's not that if you get into a profession you would not be doing well. There are endless opportunities as well. So I think the freedom, and then letting your child and your kids choose what they want to do. Obviously they would need your guidance as well, but then letting them decide for themselves is very important.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely. And I feel like more and more our generation is starting to adopt that. And at the beginning of our conversation, when I said that I see you as the future of the Kashmiri Pandit community, I really meant it because this is the kind of forward thinking that we need to adopt and use as parents as well as members of the Kashmiri Pandit community. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Um, Tell me a little bit. I just have a couple of questions, and I know we are closing in on time now. So Tell me a little bit about your future plans. You said you're working on a series of bird
Mhm.
art right now. What are some of your future plans? Are there any exhibitions coming up that you'd like to share with our
Mhm.
viewers? Are you working on anything else? Please share that with us.
Sure. So I started exhibiting in 2019, and then we had to take a forced hiatus because of COVID and all. But then after that subsided, I again started doing offline exhibitions. I did a lot of exhibitions last year as well, and I plan to continue with that in the coming years too. So right now, because I have limited time to invest into my art, I have to focus on my son, my family, and my job as well. So I don't get as much time I actually want to invest into my art. But then whatever time I get, I try to paint. So right now I have limited artworks available with me. So generally when I do exhibitions, I tend to do group exhibitions where there are other artists as well, so you don't have the whole gallery to yourself. You can just
Right.
display, take a wall and display whatever number of paintings you have ready with you. So far
Right.
I have done group exhibitions, but
Mhm.
my future plans are that I for this year at least I have taken a resolution, and which I have not shared with anyone, but I have made a resolution to myself that I would try to, take out more time and paint more, so that at the end of the year, I have more paintings, and probably then I would want to do a solo exhibition. So for this year, at least I would still focus on doing more of group exhibitions, but maybe next year I would want to do a solo as well.
Oh, that's such a great future goal, and I'm totally rooting for you, and I am
Thank
totally
you.
on your side, cheering for you from the back end, and encouraging you. I would love to see a solo exhibition from you, and I promise to come check it out when you do it. So good luck on
Thank
that
you.
goal. Before I let you go, please tell our viewers, how can we find you? How can we follow you? If we want to see more of your works, where can we do that? Tell us, our viewers, plug
So I'm
yourself.
there on Facebook. Sorry, I'm there on Facebook. I'm there on Instagram. I
Uh-huh.
don't. I have a page. I have created a Facebook page where I generally, post my paintings, but I'm not very active on that page. But the normal, my Facebook ID and my Instagram ID is where I generally keep posting, not just about my artworks, but also about a little bit about my personal life, what's going on, but not too much. But yeah, you
Uh-huh.
can find most of my paintings over there. Facebook and Instagram is where you can find me by Veronika Sharma, or if you can type Veronika Zutshi, Veronika underscore Zutshi. That's my Instagram ID. You can follow me there. And as you asked earlier, that what my future plans are, this just clicked right now that I would also want, in the future, maybe a couple of years down the line, to create a website for myself. But I'm not, I'm still not sure. I'm still contemplating whether I want to go that way, or probably I should just directly, tie up with Amazon because it has more outreach. So I'm still deciding on that. So that's why we have not taken a final decision yet. But I would want, a dedicated place to display or to show off my artworks to the world. Maybe that would come up in maybe a couple of years from now.
Oh, that's
So for now, you have
fantastic.
Facebook and Instagram.
Perfect, perfect. I will keep following you, and I'm sure all our viewers would love to follow you. And I thank you so much for sharing your beautiful life story with us, sharing your artistic journey with us. I really appreciate the share, because I feel like in talking to you, I have learned so much. I have learned life lessons, and I wish you all the best in your artistic journey. And I hope you continue shining.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor for me uh, to be here on this show, to talking to you. It was a pleasure when I met you in person here. You came down. You have always been very encouraging, and always giving me positive feedback about my artwork. So thanks a lot. And what else should I say? Just keep following me and keep encouraging me, because I think that encouragement goes a long way. Nobody is born a master, but if you have friends like you yourself, who keep encouraging us, who keep motivating us, even though we might not be really very great, but that's how we keep moving on and how we keep improving. So thanks a lot for always being appreciative about my art journey and my artworks.
Of course, you are so welcome. And to all our viewers, thank you for watching today. I hope you learned as much from my conversation with Veronika Zutshi Sharma as much as I did. And if you have any stories that you want to share from your life and you have a talent that you want to spotlight on this show, Kahani Kashmir Ki, please contact me. I'm at a US number 513-488-5070, or you can email me at deepika@bharatfm.com. Find me there, email me, and I would love to spotlight you on this show and share your talents and share your life journey with the entire Kashmiri Pandit community. With that, to Sarni Myon, yani Deepika Zutshi hun, hat hat namaskar.